Hey, welcome back to this HSK course. This is HSK 2. It's the very beginning. It's going to be a wild ride. We have 40 videos in HSK 2. So buckle your seatbelts and here we go. I hope you enjoyed HSK 1 and were able to follow along. I know it's difficult, especially if you're starting from scratch and especially if you're not in a Chinese environment. It can be difficult to absorb everything and for it to feel intuitive because you don't have a chance to use it every day. But just keep plugging away at it. Do your Pimsleur, do your Skritter, watch these videos, do the exercises, and it will start to make more sense as you go along, and you'll be able to absorb more and more as you go. So today we're going to talk about hai. It usually means still or yet, and it looks like this. We have a bu over here on the right, and then this is a little, I think it's called a zhou pang, and that's the pinyin right there, hai. And so here, the basic structure of most of the sentence is subject plus hai plus verb or adjective phrase. And so that's the basic structure. So here's a couple examples of different ways it's used, and we'll talk about it one by one. Here we have 我们还在吃饭. 我们还在吃饭. So 在 here 在, if you remember, it means. It's like you put it before the verb to talk about continuous action, like current action, like it's happening right now. Kind of English is ing. So this means we are still eating or eating food. We are still eating. That's what the meaning of the sentence is. I just want to point out that 在 is often coupled with 还 when you're talking about a continuing action that keeps happening. 我们还 it's still happening. 我们还在吃饭. We are still eating. So 还在 often go together. This sentence doesn't need the 在 necessarily, but it pairs well together when you're talking about a continuing action. So 我们还在吃饭. So we are still eating. Here we have a continuous state, a state that is still in place or happening. So 你还有20块. 你还有20块. This means you still have 20 kuai. Kuai is a unit of money. And in China, if you're in China, you talk about kuai, you're talking about RMB. 你还有20块. So you still have 20 kuai. So the have is a continuing state. It's not really an action, it's a state of possessing. And then a hai is saying you still have that much. So here we have another sentence that where we're seeing hai negated by may. Now hai can be negated by may or bu, depending on the kind of verb or the kind of thing it's being expressed. But here we have 9点了,他们还没到. It's 9 o'clock. They still haven't arrived? Question mark. And so this often when hai is negated, it often has the feeling of something should be, but it isn't. So you're kind of like incredulous. So it's 9 o'clock already, and they haven't arrived. That's what this means. You might be wondering why there's no ma on this sentence, because you think it's a yes or no sentence more or less. It's a yes or no question. It's a question, but there's no ma. Isn't that how you make a yes or no question? You put ma at the end. Yes, but think about it how you'd say this in English. It's 9 o'clock and they haven't arrived? And they haven't arrived is actually a statement, but because I'm using that incredulous kind of like questioning voice, I don't make it into a question. I don't say, it's 9 o'clock already? And have they not arrived? I just say, and they haven't arrived? Exactly the same in Chinese. 9点了, I'm saying it as a statement, but I'm using a question tone of voice. Now, it doesn't always need to have that sense of like it should be but isn't. Again, let me give you an example. 女孩还没有到5岁 or 还没有到5岁. So 女孩 means daughter, 还没到 has not yet arrived, 5岁 5 years old. So my daughter has not yet arrived, has not yet turned 5. So I'm saying 还没有 or 还没, but it's not like I'm saying she should be 5, but she's not. I'm just saying she isn't turned 5. And so it can negate a simple fact, but it often is used in the context of like, what's up with that? Why isn't it yet that? And so just want to point that out. It can also negate 不. Here's a sentence. 他这么帅，你还不想和他去约会吗? He's so handsome. He's this handsome. You still don't want to go on a date with him? What's up with that? So there's a 你还不想 means you still do not want 你还不想 go on a date with him. All right, and here we have a particular construction that I want to give you an example of. 他生病了，但是还是去打球了。他生病了. He was sick. He is sick, was sick. He was sick. But 但是 or 可是 both of them mean but that but 但是还是still is, but it doesn't actually mean is here, but it means still. So but still 去打球了 went to play ball. 他生病了，但是还是去打球了. So he was sick, but he still went to play ball. And we have this sentence, and then we have but still, meaning in spite of this happened. And that's what that particular construction means. Now, 是 here does not mean is. And I mean, in its basic form, it means is. But here it doesn't. Sometimes 是 is added to sentences to kind of say something like, it's that something something happened. Or it's that something something is. And it's used kind of for emphasis or to stress a particular detail, that kind of thing. And you'll get the feel for that more as you see more and more examples of it. But just know that the phrase is a condition and then a but 还是 whatever. And that'll be good. So that's the first use of 还. Hai can also be used to say and also. Well, wasn't that funny? Hai can also be used to say and also. Let me give you examples of how this works. 我会说英文，还会说中文。我会说英文 I can, remember 会 means know how to. 我会说 I can speak 英文 English. 还会说中文还会说 and also can speak 中文 Chinese. So I can speak English and I also can speak Chinese. So it's very similar to 也 which also means also. But I'll explain the difference in just a minute. So 我会说英文还会说中文 I can speak English and I can also speak Chinese. 我老婆有 Mac. My wife 老婆 has a Mac. 还有 iPhone. And also has an iPhone. You'll notice that both in these phrases I didn't add the subject into the second phrase because in Chinese, if the second phrase or the next phrase doesn't have a subject, you always assume that the subject from the previous phrase is the subject in that phrase. So my wife has a Mac and also has an iPhone. So the difference between 还 and also or also and 也, which also means also, is that 还 is restricted in that it can only be used when it's one subject but two actions or two phrases or two verbs basically. So this means I can speak. Oop, that must have been a big boom. I can speak English, and I, the same subject, can also speak Chinese. So it's one subject, two actions, or two different phrases about the subject. Here we have my wife has a Mac, and my wife, same subject, 还有 iPhone. Yeah, can be used, could be used in these sentences, but yeah, can also be used in sentences when the subject changes. Like there's two subjects, but the same action or the same phrase. Okay, so here we have 我是美国人, I am American. 你也是美国人. You also are American. So you and me are two different subjects, but we're saying that also that we have the same phrase here. So 我是美国人, 你也是美国人. So I am American, you are also American. So that's the difference. 还 is restricted to only one subject with two different things going on, and yeah, it can be used like that, but it can also, and maybe primarily, is used when you have two different um, subjects talking about the same action or state or whatever. So far, we've talked about two different uses of hai, and now we're going to talk about a third. The first one we talked about was that hai means still, basically, that it's continuing action or continuing state. The second one was that hai can mean and also. And then third is that hai is used, this is very common, but it's sort of like a very specific usage, that hai kind of cools down the extent or the degree of a good adjective. Let me show you what I mean. So the good adjectives can be something like good, 好, or 可以, which means like, it also means good. In response to a question like, how are you, or how is this, or how was it, that kind of thing, the phrase in English, we just say, it was good, or it was not bad. Well, this is basically like how you say not bad. It takes the good and it cools it down to like so-so, or good but not great, that kind of feeling. So here we have 你最近怎么样? And the answer, 还好. 你最近怎么样? Oh, that should be a question mark. 还好. So this is I don't know if I've talked about this phrase before, but it's a good phrase to get in your mind, because this is actually how Chinese people ask, how have you been? Or how are you recently? It's when they really want to ask, how are you? They don't say 你好吗? Chinese people very rarely say 你好吗? They if it's a greeting like, hey, how are you, in English, Chinese, they would say something like like your name, or hi, or 你吃了吗? Something like that. But if they want to really know, ask how have you been recently, they say a phrase that's similar to this. You recently 怎么样? 你最近怎么样? How are you? And the answer could be 还好, not bad, or good but not great. And there are other phrases, 还可以, 还行, it's the same idea. 还不错, this means, 不错 means not bad, but it means good. Because it's not bad, it means good. And 还不错 means like the way we say not bad in English, which is like good but not great. That's one phrase. Here's another example. 这道菜好吃吗? This dish, 好吃吗? Is this dish tasty or good to eat? And the answer could be 还可以. Not bad. Now, tone of voice will change the way this feels, obviously. Just like in English, if you say not bad, you'd be like, not bad, not bad. It was not good, but not terrible. Or you could say, not bad, which means like it's better, it's more good. Same way in Chinese, you can say 还可以 or 还可以. Yeah. And so that's that usage of hai. Now I also down here, I threw in a totally different use of hai, which I just didn't want to make it its own little section of the video. And this is a very specific thing, but it's very common. It doesn't really fall into the other categories. It's its own little phrase, basically. And it's the phrase 还以为. Now, 以为 here by itself means thought, as in I thought, but I mistakenly thought. Oh, I thought she was 6 years old, but she's actually 5. That kind of thing. Hai is often put in before the phrase together, 还以为. And the difference between 以为 and 还以为, what hai does here, is it makes the phrase more apologetic. So 以为 by itself could mean, I thought this was true, but it's not, and it's your fault. For example, this sentence, if I take away the hai, 我以为你喜欢跳舞. My friend gave me an example, my Chinese friend gave me an example. He said, let's say I take my girlfriend out on a date and I take her dancing, but she's not having fun and she's not enjoying it. And here you can see the difference between 以为 and 还以为 in this particular instance. Because if I say, 我以为你喜欢跳舞, that might mean like, I thought you would like dancing, but you don't. And I'm kind of, I wish, I thought, it's like, I thought you liked dancing. So it's a little more like, it could be your fault. But if I say, 我还以为你喜欢跳舞, that means like, I'm so sorry. I thought this was true, but I'm apologizing for not knowing the real thing. And so that's a specific phrase, yǐwéi. I wanted to point that out because it's common and it doesn't quite fit the other 3 uses that I pointed out. So there we have saying hi. Keep on going. You're doing great.